Okay, I have some people here on Facebook. Thank you for joining on the Facebook Live. We're Zooming over here. We're Facebook Live over here. I'm very excited to have both things going. I hope that I can manage it in a way that isn't frustrating for everyone, but perfectly fine. I think we will start in just another minute as people come into the Zoom. Hi, Dave. Thank you for being here, my friend.
Yeah, there are still people coming in through the waiting room, and I'm admitting them.
Let's see. Oh, this is so exciting. Oh, my friend Bat is here. Hi, Bat. Thank you for joining. This is so wonderful. I see people. I see 6 faces on Zoom. We're starting on Facebook. We're starting so soon. We've got 12 people in the Zoom. I will also say to all of you on Facebook that you will be missing out on the slides that I've created so that you can read along with me as I'm reading out loud. I find for myself that I really enjoy seeing the words that are being spoken or read to me so that I'm like double comprehension. I'm getting that visual input and the audio input and the completion of the poem. So that is going to be shared on a screen share in the Zoom. If you're on Facebook, just enjoy listening. I know that some people are joining in other time zones where it's very late, and I'm just delighted by this idea of someone like with their head on their pillow, like, let me listen to some love poetry while I fall asleep. And if you fall asleep to me reading, I take it as a compliment. So my voice is just so mellifluous, relaxing.
So, how are you feeling, Cassandra? Should we go ahead and start? It's 5:02.
I'm ready to start when you are, yeah.
So I'd love to welcome all of you. I will continue to admit people as they come in. My name is Alison Hurwitz, and I am the host of this monthly Well-Versed Words poetry reading. We always happen every second Saturday of the month at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. And I'm delighted this month to extend a very special welcome to one of my dearest friends whom I've never met in person. Cassandra Pereira is my editor. She has helped me a lot in my own work as a poet. She's also a phenomenal poet in her own right. She's also a singer, a pianist, a multimedia collage artist. She's really an artist at life. She spent a long time living and working in Buenos Aires. She's an incredible tango dancer. Shout out to her husband, Rai, who is an incredible tango teacher. And I'm just so delighted to be able to feature her. I know that when Cassandra does anything, then it's a feast for more than one sense. So we're going to get to enjoy the visual, the oral, and the figurative in her presentation today. And I'm just thrilled that you'll all get a chance to get to know her and hopefully love her the way that I have gotten to know and love her. So without further ado, I'd love to welcome you, Cassandra, to Well-Versed Words and have you begin by sharing anything else you'd like to share as an introduction to your work.
I do have something that I would like to share. Every single person who is here right now, you are getting a free piece of art from me. If you've seen my promotional flyer, which I have just been throwing any eyeballs in my view, I'm like, look at my flyer, look at my flyer. It features one of my collages, which is called Unavoidable Heart. And when I was thinking of this poetry invitation, when I first received it, I looked at this piece of artwork and I was like, this is the name of the event. It is Unavoidable Heart. So I've printed, I don't have them, they're still in the mail. But as soon as I get them, I'll be mailing them out to you. I can't mail them out to you if you don't give me your address. I need your snail mail address, please. You can send it to me personally on email. My email is artingdarling@gmail.com. You can send it to me in a Facebook message. You can find me on my website, which is cassandrapereira.com, Pereira. But you have to get your address to me, and then I can mail you free art. I'm not going to hound anybody so that I can then give you a free gift. You have to give me your address. but I'm really thrilled that we have these nice 5.5 by 8.5 glossy postcard prints. And that is my thank you to you for joining me here today. So that is your bonus / a little bribe that I'm like, come to my poetry thing. I'm gonna give you free art. What else do you want? Just come, listen to me. Invest my soul and my whole spirit into this. And I'm so honored. Really, I need to start this hour with a big thank you to anyone who is honoring me with your attention. And I hope to give back to you what you're giving to me, your time, your attention, your mind. It's a huge honor. So let's start with a screen share. If you've read the copy on this event, I mentioned these 8 forms of love as identified by the ancient Greeks. Let's see, screen share. Here we go. Okie dokie, we're over here. Now, if I press slideshow, how does that look for all of you on Zoom? Right now it says loading, I understand. But hopefully you see a nice, clear slide. Okay, good. The Zoom is working. If you want to read along with the poems and follow along with the structure of this, honestly, it's a lesson. It's a little lesson in love as I've been studying it for the last few weeks preparing this poetry reading. As I mentioned, it's called Unavoidable Heart. And what I mean by that is we all have heart. We all have a desire to love and to be loved, whether we like it or not. It would be so much easier, we think sometimes, to just get rid of this complicated love thing, but too bad. You cannot avoid that you want to love and to be loved. And so that's what I see happening in this piece of art as well. You see this figure. He is walking towards it, but he's looking away. It's this complicated relationship we have with our own heart, with our own experiences of love and life. And as you see in this art piece here, and I'm sharing with my screen here, the inside of your heart is kind of ugly. It's not nice to look at that. It's like it's all fatty and bloody, but this is the raw reality of life and love. So I think I can just do that. Great. So I'm going to start with just a very brief short poem that isn't my best work, but the idea is starting to get the engine moving. It says, I love you. The phrase is powerful. Not powerful like a gun, but powerful like an injection. It can infect you with sickness, or it can be your vaccine. And what I mean by this is why? Why is it that one word or one phrase can be something that has a very toxic, dangerous effect on you, or the most healing, beautiful source of life? The answer to this question is that we are limited in our vocabulary. This is a problem of the English language. We have one word, love. I love pizza. I love my mom. I love my husband. I love swimming in the ocean. I'm describing so many different experiences with so much nuance, and yet this one simple 4-letter word is supposed to catch all of that. We know that that's wrong. That's wrong. It doesn't, and yet we just accept it. The ancient Greeks did not accept this. They had 8 words for different experiences of love, and we will briefly review them. And I'm going to try to be brief because this is a poetry reading and not a lecture. But I think it is worth just going more deeply into our feelings about what we're going to talk about today. So the ancient Greeks identified 8 different types of love. Eros is romantic, passionate love. And this is the one that we're being confronted with right now as Valentine's Day is so close, and Cupid and the arrows, and we want moonlight and walks on the beach and tell me I'm the most beautiful woman in the world and embrace me. It's nice. It's very nice, but it's not the whole enchilada. It's far from it. It's just one nice piece of love. And this is my intention with this reading today, with this event, is to remind myself and all of us that if you're not celebrating Valentine's Day and some romantic engagement, you can still have a fulfilling life of love, because there's all these other types of love, and it's really important now more than ever, I think, as the Valentine's Day cultural sickness is like coming from every angle. I still have a life of love, whether or not I have a date on Valentine's Day, and feeling secure in that, and also stimulating that and growing that and choosing that for ourselves, regardless of what your relationship status is. So Eros is just one, excuse me. Philia, agape, storge, mania, ludus, pragma, and philusia, self-love. I'll go into a little definition of them all in just a moment, but as I write here on the bottom of this slide, in my experience, even 8 words for love isn't even close to an exhaustive list. And primarily, what I noticed as I was studying these ancient Greek terms is that they were all talking about loving other people. So again, loving other people is essential. It is part of the unavoidable heart that we share. We need to love with humans. But there's more love even than just the love we share with the people that we love. There's also love of nature. There's love of God. There's love of life. There's love of your cat. I have a poem about my cat. It's coming up. But I'll start to break open even more beyond in just a moment. So let's go back to what the ancient Greeks were talking about. We're starting with Eros. Eros is love of the body based on sexual attraction and chemistry. For the Greeks, this was the scariest of all the loves that you could experience. So we are disconnected from really what this image of Cupid is. I found this great photo that I think it shows you. He's like this creepy baby who goes around shooting people with arrows, people and gods. No one is immune to this intrusion. And then all of a sudden your life changes and you're just like, oh my God, like I'm obsessed with this person. So this is the scariest, most dangerous one. But in our culture, it's the one that we praise as being the best or the most valuable. I think that is a misconception on our part. When this sexual intensity wanes or decreases or diminishes, it is not the end of love. If it was only Eros, then it's the end. But if there's something else, something more, something deeper, then that will continue to grow once we're released from the grip of Eros, and it can evolve into philia, which is the love of a person for who they are. But we'll get there in just a moment too. So Eros, I'm having so much problems here. Eros ludus. Ludus is flirtatious love. It's playfulness. It's teasing. It's the love we feel when we are dancing with someone. It's laughter. It's childlike, and it's fun. And then when you have those two things and they really get into that danger zone, you have mania. Mania is obsessive love. It's based on need, desire, hunger, jealousy. And now I'm going to share 3 of my poems that talk about these first 3, Eros, Ludus, and Mania. So my first poem for you, I really like this one. I just wrote it, and I was hesitant to share something so new in this reading, but I like it too much. So this is a prose poem. As you can see, it looks like just one big long paragraph. I won't go into more explanation of what a prose poem is. I'm just going to read it for you. As I start to read my poems for you all here today, I'm going to do what I like to receive, which is a little background and a little information and a little explanation before I get the poem, because a good poem is something that you will return to multiple times. You might not even understand it at all on the first read, and then you go back and you read through it again. And this is also the joy of it being a compact form. It's not an hour of time. You could read one poem in 2 minutes 5 times. But we're not going to read one poem 5 or 6 times in this reading today. So to sort of fill in the gaps, I'm going to just provide a little, this poem is about this. So we're all on the same page going in. Pleistocene bar scene is about, it's an Eros-based poem. And Pleistocene is the epoch of human evolution when Homo sapiens first appeared. So it's like the most primitive version of the species that we are today. And so this is we have some ludus, we have the flirtation, but we really have the eros passion in this one. Pleistocene bar scene. A maraschino cherry sits soaking in syrup at the bottom of a glass cast like the bras of the 1970s. The beveled cones of a martini-shaped woman, statuesque atop swiveling velvet, drinking, with a straight face, a cocktail that tastes like isopropyl motor oil strained over stemware, balanced between long, slim fingers with long, red claws. His glass is heavier. Lead crystal cuts glint out from that bare paw, jut beyond a French cuff, a sterling link. There's more treasures like these back in my cave, he says, smacking smoky Lefroy between his bristles, flipping a coin. She looks away, caressing the silken pelt around her décolleté, inviting him to imagine where the rest of her treasures lay. She shifts her weight to reveal the shape of her time, ripe and full of life. In every sigh, a taste of the peach puree panting to come. It's already happening. What does he say to make her show her teeth? To set free that guttural release, the first submission, the most basic surrender. Laughter. They close their mouths again over their glasses, his eye firm on the point. He will buy her a steak, tell as many jokes as it takes. Anything to get her to feed him that cherry. That is Pleistocene bar scene. And for my second poem, and it's connecting again to this ludus, eros, a little more ludus going on here, but also a touch of mania. There's a little bit of obsession here. So this next poem is called Two-Way Radio Romance. And this is about, explicitly, right? I'm not going to make it so mysterious to be confusing. The very last thing I want is that you're here listening to my poems and thinking, I don't know what the hell she's talking about. I want that you know what I'm talking about, and that way you can appreciate the poem. So explicitly stated, this is a poem about posting things on Instagram so that the person that you have a crush on sees them, and embedding little like secret messages of like, oh, I'm thinking of you. Can't you tell? Because like whatever the background is, it's like, oh, this cafe that we were in together, I'm just gonna like make a post like, oh, I'm in this cafe again, which for anybody viewing, it's just like, okay, whatever. But for that one person, they know that like it's for them. So two-way radio romance. For all the peeves and perils of technology, at least I see you online all the time. You know I'm looking too, sneaky looking for how many ways to play two-way radio silence. How many ways to skip a stone in a still pond without making a splash. Do you know how information travels? There's an ocean of radio waves, suspended, invisible, suffusing everything. It's into that dark light I beam you instant data. You, me. You, me. We both know how this binary code works. And I know you are swimming in me through those waves. You are splashing joy in my heart without making a sound. And so this is also true. I love this. I want to share a little note, if I may. Is everything okay, Allison? I feel like I have silence.
Oh, sorry. No, everybody's muted because they're listening to you.
Okay, great. Okay, great. Good. So I want to share just one of my favorite things about this poem, which is that we're engaging in this relationship building through technology that we don't understand at all. There's just something so fascinating to me about that. It's like, do you know how information travels? I didn't. I wrote that line of this poem and then I needed to look it up. Like, how do text messages work? And it works on radio wave frequency, which is something I didn't know. I thought it was some more advanced like radio waves. That's like 1920s. Still the same foundational technology. that is supporting the internet. So this blipping of data to each other through radio waves, and imagining that, like, if you can visualize the waves that are completely encasing the globe that we're on, and how we shoot data through it just to reach each other, but without making a sound and without making a splash. This is two-way radio romance. And let's see what I have next. Okay, so this is the poem that I will suggest if anyone with children would like to step into the waiting room of the Zoom call. This is not a poem that I would like to read in front of anyone under the age of 16. So Alison, if you're on it, okay, cool. It's called The Strong Arms of Love. And The Strong Arms of Love is a nice, I had to include this poem. I almost didn't include it because I knew that children would be present today. But I have to include it because we're talking about all the different forms of love. And we're contrasting eros and sexual passion and flirting and I want you so bad with the kind of love that you build a marriage on, the kind of love that you share with your family. In this poem, I'm comparing and contrasting these two. And it's also a contrast of my own relational skills in my youth with how I am as a wife today. And I really like this poem. So it's called The Strong Arms of Love because there's this imagery of how we use our hands and our arms in relationship to another person. And the main metaphor that we'll have in the first half of this poem is that of someone shooting up heroin into their arm. So that is how eros and mania felt for me when I was younger. Was like, I can't wait to get another hit of this shit. And now I'm like, okay, wait a minute. That's not the person you live the rest of your life with, is the person who feels like heroin. That's not husband material. So this poem is The Strong Arms of Love. And with this, we'll segue into the next grouping of the Greek love terms. The Strong Arms of Love. It was easier to write poetry for the lovers I didn't love. Lust was liquid creativity I mainlined like smack into the crook of an elbow or between my toes, anywhere, just touch me, and off I'd go, dizzy and inspired, drooling out love poems for a man no more than a spoon used to cook up an idea and feed imagination. He didn't have to make me come. Just lead me on. Give me a dream to roll and jones where I am so loved and I am so known. Loan me the look that makes me feel seen to the bone, stripped to my soul, then leave me quivering in unsatisfied delight. He always had an early meeting and me a poem to write. Oh, reticent stranger, I will love you forever. My husband, however, we're not high on hard drugs. We're eating meat and potatoes, scalloped and baked with butter and sage, a good source of iron. I thank Pinterest for that entire meal and for our place settings, cloth napkins, glass chargers, the guests of our wedding. We hold hands and share plans at a table of wood, here built by my man for our humble home. We're not fancy, but wholly embraced, and we really are one. An ecosystem of love, of the same food, same soap, same skin to skin, sleep in the same bed, our own. Same day-to-day routine, laughing at each other's jokes, filling in each other's words, bracing the whole when the other stumbles. His, my reflection, as much as my own, known though forever outside of me, filling me, my world, my arms, my veins with real life, real love, and whether or not moved to write, moved always to hold. So, I would like to invite anyone who wants to share in the discussion anything about this first chapter, where we covered Eros, Ludus, and Mania, and we're now segueing into deeper, more long-lasting forms of love. Is there anyone in Zoom who would like to? Oh, good, someone raised their hand. Let me. Can you allow them to speak, Alison?
Absolutely. And also, Cassandra, maybe we can come out of screen share for this portion so that everyone can see everybody else.
I love that idea. Great. Thank you. If I can figure out how to do it. Okay. Good. We're here.
I had a comment, actually. My own.
Yes. Go ahead, Dave. Tilt your camera down so we can see your face.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know if, I can't remember the title of the first prose poem, but it reminded me of a little aphorism that I wrote as sort of a mini prose poem about laughter. And it's called Laughter is a spiritual orgasm, like a sneeze. And that's it.
I think that's true. I understand the feeling exactly. Oh, sweet. I'm touched that something that I wrote is making you think of something that you wrote, and we're all connected in this web of poetry-minded people. So, if anyone else would like to raise their hand and share a thought. Oh, Noah's here. Hi, Noah.
Hey, I just wanted to say that first of all, I love like the kind of dissection of all these different forms of love. But like I think a lot of times people just kind of umbrella underneath the same category, and like one, it wasn't like in the actual poem itself. It was just kind of like you pointing out, like summarizing. One thing I love that you said, is that that passionate, crazy, mania-esque love is like heroin, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then what was the exact phrase? You said that's like heroin, but like the love that you have for like your husband or your wife or whatever, that's like a different type of love. It's not like the crazy addicted love, but it's like got its own kind of form of purity to it. And like I think a lot of times, a lot of people kind of forget that love means a bunch of different things. They want to look at it with that umbrella. And so when something negative happens in that heroin-esque love, they blame it on the whole rest of all forms of love. They kind of, lump it into that. And I just really enjoy this kind of dissection and reflection on, all of these different aspects of it. It's definitely, because I'm young, I'm like a baby, a fetus practically. So like I can look at all these different forms and kind of acknowledge and appreciate how that's something I might not have really acknowledged or realized before. This has been a great ride thus far.
Oh,
that's all I got to say.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean when you say that. It's like somebody is engaged in this like hot and fiery, passionate affair with someone they just met, and then they don't text them back, and then that person's like, I'm done with love forever. It's like, the two things have nothing to do with each other. But we don't know that, or we're not able to realize that because of the limits of our vocabulary. And this is the real point that I want to hammer away at as we continue, is like one word is not equipped to even touch the vast panoply of experiences that are abstractions. Even like it's so hard for us to make sense of our own experiences of love because they're abstractions, and we need to think in concrete terms, and we have one word. It's like the deck is stacked against us for being good at love. You have to make a choice, and I've made that choice, and I write a bunch of poems, and I'm here to share them with you, and I hope that it helps. So shall I jump back in, Alison, to the
yes, I think so. It's
share?
5:29, so we're just going to keep pacing ourselves so that we can hear all of your wonderful pieces.
Oh dear.
In the
Okay.
time that we have. So
okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Great. I'm gonna have to skip through a lot of stuff. Okay, I have to close the Zoom. Okay. Let me make sure. Yeah. Okay, so we are segueing out of the wild, manic craziness of Eros, passionate love, and moving into long-lasting, deeper forms of love. The Greeks had a few words for this as well. Pragma is true commitment that comes from understanding, compromise, and tolerance. It is the result of effort over time. As a happily married person, I can share that it is the result of effort over time. You have to make a choice to return to this person who is a flawed human being who will get on your nerves. And you choose to continue to be more loving with them. And the more that you make that choice, the deeper this pragma love can go. Another term for another form of love in the Greek vocabulary is storge. Storge is also developed over time, but effortlessly. So it's I find that it's like a muscle memory kind of love. It's just that person who's always there. And even if you don't like that person, you feel this storge love for them. You're bonded to them out of habit, out of it just being a familiarity. It's a different kind of love. And because you're sort of stuck with this person often, it could be the love you have for a colleague you've been working with for 10 years, you have no choice but to develop forgiveness and acceptance and team working. So through storage, we feel secure, comfortable, and safe. And lastly, in this new group of 3 terms, we have philia. Philia is the love of the mind of a person. So Alison, for example, I've never met her in person. She could be completely disembodied. She could be an AI program, but I would feel philia because I love her personality, how she speaks, how she thinks, how she shares, how she is. So this is the friendship love. And I'm going to skip over this poem because we don't have a lot of time. I'm going to share this one that I wrote for my husband. It's called Standing Today, Swimming Tomorrow. It is in an anthology. And I'm proud of that. And the image here, I think the imagery is kind of clear. It doesn't need so much explanation, but it's being on the, we're on the scene. The scene we're in here is that we've just had a big fight. And it's like, whoa, we're not, that like, I'm so in love. That feeling is not present. And it's kind of like shocking. What do I see from this vantage? Standing today, swimming tomorrow. Our feet sink heavily, stood at the shore, held still and beholding the tremendous power of all the world's water churning right before our eyes. This ocean is the force behind everything we know. This ocean is love. Beside you, I whisper, where is it going? And you swear, nowhere. But slowly, the secret life of the ocean floor is revealed to us. Strong tides pull back its veil, expose a trove of treasures, a spray of shells and sea glass, sea plants and little crabs. Stuck there in gold, I remember, marriage means falling in love over and over, always with the same person. That's the part we're told. Never that we might sometimes get washed out of love before we can get back in. That we had to learn. To learn to stand and sink into the strand when the ebb retreats. Behold what's there divulged. Collect driftwood to repair our boat and pocket the pearls at our feet. Loyalty, trust, the truth of us. A basin strong enough to hold an ocean of love. And like the tide now rolling in, we're swimming in it once again. Now this is a great little quick poem that is about my cat. It's called Pet Love. And this is, for me, like the highest form of love I have in my heart is the love that I have for my cat. And I'll read you the poem and then I'll explain why I think that this means that. Pet love. Your little warmth and weight beside me in our bed is all it takes to sate my need from you, my friend. I think it's pretty simple. It's all that my cat does is exist, and I'm completely in love with him. It's all he has to do is just be alive and near me, and I'm just so happy about it. So that love, I often think, like, if I can stimulate this love for myself and for other people, I will be a much better human and lover. Just take that Larry love and like, blast it out. Okay, moving on to the last of the Greek terms, philautia. Philautia is the love of the self. So not the bad one. The bad one is when you're a narcissist, selfish, egotistical, using people. But the good one, healthy, balanced love between how you feel for yourself and how you feel for others. It is self-compassion and it is self-awareness, knowing yourself and loving yourself truly. So this is one of my favorite poems. It's a love poem from me to me, and I'm proud of it, and I'm happy to be here, honored as the guest poet of the month for this poetry reading, and saying, yes, I wrote this for me in a reflection where I saw myself, and I'm like, I like myself. I'm going to write a poem about it. So Open Mic for Cassandra's Nightly is about how I develop self-awareness, and I recommend it as a practice for anyone interested in developing your own self-awareness. It is in journaling. It is in writing. Here we are at a poetry reading, and a writer is talking about writing. So, Open Mic for Cassandra's Nightly. This is how it works, the way I've learned to write. Every night in my bed is an open mic night. Backstage await dozens of clambering voices, ideas, feelings, opinions, and stories. The audience is blank, blank as the page. The audience is Buddha's expressionless face. There's no set list or structure. The mic is just there. Order is filed by need, by flair. Just grab it and go, girls. Make yourselves known. I am nothing, a no one. Don't care what you show. Thoughts on love, thoughts on war, philosophies or vague notions, factoids and fictions, dreams, questions, emotions, fantasies, fears, complaints, nothing matters. Insult or flatter, shatter the patterns. I welcome all images, untethered or floating, sharks swimming, mules braying, metaphors eroding, tricks of language singing on rhetorical whims, lost secrets returning as fragments fill in a lot of nonsense, moonshine, gibberish, baloney, all connected to something I care about, me. With a pen in my hand, notebook belly up bare, this ritual is freedom to become self-aware. Who runs for the mic? Who needs to be heard? Is there anyone hiding, impaired, or ignored? The wounded, the healers, romantics, cynics too. Take your turns, everyone. We want to know you. And I, Cassandra's all, just the hand for the pen. I don't even try, yet, to listen to them. Listening is for later, when the recording is done, and I set out to make sense of so many someones. I just love this poem. I can't help but sing it. I feel I want to share a little more about this poem too, which is when I write in my writing practice, it's so important to have a space of non-judgment. It's my private journal. If there's any place that's appropriate to refrain from judgment, it's your journal. Just have one safe place where you can really just see what's going on inside. And so opening up a journal, having no expectation, but making a practice of it. A practice meaning I do it every night. I do it regularly, on a schedule. So I'm not asking anything of myself. I'm not saying, write a poem about roses today. I'm just opening it up and saying, go, whatever, just start writing words. And often I just, whatever, picture frame, light, zoom, random association, and then stuff starts coming out. So who runs for the mic? When I give myself this space to just write whatever, it's going to be the thing that's the most pressing in my mind, even if I'm not already aware of it, especially if I'm not already aware of it. And as I'm writing, I often think like, oh my God, I feel that way about this. I didn't even know that, but there it is on the page. I guess this Cassandra is taking the chance to say, hey, these are my feelings. And I get to know myself and develop my relationship with myself through this practice. So can't recommend it enough, guys. Alrighty, so that is my philautia love. Oh, this is actually the last of the Greek terms. Agape. We probably are all familiar with the term agape. It's picked up some popularity in recent years. Agape, love of the soul, love for humanity, love for everyone and everything. It's generous, it's selfless, it's unconditional love based on compassion and sympathy. You can think of it like the Buddhist term metta, that compassion that we generate in loving kindness meditation. Importantly about agape, it's the love that we feel in relation to someone's weakness rather than their strengths and virtues. So in all these previous, we're often celebrating and admiring that which inspires us in our beloved. But there's also another type of love we feel when that person or anyone is weak and vulnerable. And it's that desire to protect and care for and see their value, even when they're not at their best self. That deep forgiveness that allows the full experience of a human to exist in front of you and be received by you. Agape is powerful stuff. So I have a couple agape poems. I want to check the time. Okay, we're good on time. This one is called Forgiveness. And I think this is the poem I have that is the most encompassing of agape. Forgiveness. Things shouldn't hurt like they do, but they do. Is it a magnesium deficiency or compassion I'm lacking? I use only half the words of my vocabulary. Statistically, they're mostly forms of want, can, go, food, and places. I'm average in this way, but I average higher counts than most of dream, imagine, try. Just keep trying my best to evolve, heal, forgive. And take my supplements with lots of water. Wander towards new light and remember, regardless of the outcome, they're trying their best too. This is a phrase that I thought of at some point in my life a few years ago. This awareness that, sometimes you're just screwing up so wildly, so badly, and you're like, but I'm trying my best, and for some reason I can't do better than this right now. And to realize that most people are out there trying their best, whether or not it's any good, that's a judgment call. But the fact is, people are trying their best. And that awareness helps me to develop forgiveness. There's also some cool language stuff in here I'll just share quickly. It says, statistically, I only use half the words of my vocabulary: want, can, go, food, and places. So when you're learning a foreign language, these are the first things that you learn. You learn how to say the verb form of I want, I can, I go, and you learn food and places. And you learn this key vocabulary, because if you just develop that, and I know as a person who speaks other languages, you can get by. You can just take 1 year of French and go to France and be able to say where is the museum? I would like to order a croissant. And you'll communicate to the level that is necessary. Because people don't use so much of their vocabulary. We use these key things that communicate our basic survival. So that's kind of cool when you think about it. And then I asked myself, so what are my other strongest vocabulary words? What are the verbs that I'm using in addition to these, the basics that we're all using all the time? Forms of I am, for example, right? What other verbs do I like to use often? And I realized I'm thinking a lot about dreaming, imagining, trying, evolving, healing, forgiving, these good virtuistic verbs. I'm working hard to align myself with those actions and therefore direct my own becoming. So that was Forgiveness, an agape poem. And this one, I might skip it because it's long, but I really like this one. It's called Soup for All. And Soup for All is a poem about the oneness that I experience, a oneness of humanity through my identity as a citizen of the United States and how diverse we are. And I'm just going to skip it because I want to read other stuff more. So sorry, Soup for All. So, okay. We've reached the end of the exploration of the Greek terminology. As I was doing research into their vocabulary, I realized, as I mentioned at the beginning of this event, that was all about love in relation to other people. But what about other forms of love? One other form of love that is important is transcendence. It's love, so even agape, which is universal love, but it's not love for the universe, it's love for all people. But there's so much going on here than just people. And can our love continue to expand and radiate beyond awareness of our own species? Like, of course, right? I already included a cat in this poetry reading. So I feel that the experience of transcendence, even if we can only access it for a second or two per year, right, is a hard thing to achieve unless you're like devoted to your meditation practice. It is a form of love in itself. Love for the great mystery beyond, and it is associated with feelings of wonder and awe. And so this is another new poem that I have that is me trying to find my limit and just get just a little bit beyond my limit and experience something new, to break through the known into the unknown and therefore achieve transcendence. It's called Speechless. But like, well, you know how it is when you just can't find the words, the right words. You who love words and are so good with them, like a mother finding herself free in the midst of a coffee, free of her beloved children, the exhilaration of being more than who they define her to be, of feeling that, of feeling beyond even beyond what you love. I like to take a little pause after a poem. Going beyond what you love and having that itself be a form of love. I think that's really cool to think about for a second. And obviously this is my experience as a writer, being like, I don't have the words to describe my feelings. And it's like, if I don't have the words to describe these feelings, like I'm the word person, I have the words, I'm great with words. So where am I when I don't have the words? What's going on the other side that's evading language? And this metaphor came to me. It's like a mother who's, oh, you're so good with your children. It's like, of course I love my children, but all of a sudden they're not around and I'm like, I'm free, baby. I'm a free woman. I'm more than just my role as a mother. I'm more than just the person who articulates my experience. I am the experiencing that will never be encapsulated by that articulation. And that is a poem on transcendence. Okay, so I'm moving into tenderness. Tenderness I needed to define because as I was trying to categorize my poetry in these Greek vocabulary words that we've reviewed, I realized that there's a lot of poems that are painful and that we cannot deny that pain is a part of love. It is. If you know anything about love, you know a lot about pain. And it doesn't need to be like horrible, ruin your life suffering, but there's an aching that comes with all forms of love at some point or another. Sometimes at the same time as the joy of love, sometimes when the joy of love has subsided or even gone away and we did not want it to. So Rollo May, who was an existential psychologist and wrote many brilliant books, I would highly recommend reading anything you can get your hands on by him, but especially The Courage to Create by Rollo May. Take that note down, buy that book. He says, tenderness emerges from the fact that two persons, longing, as all individuals do, to overcome the separateness and isolation to which we are all heir. And I'm going to read some poems about that. Let's see how time is doing. Yeah, I'm going to skip Reasoning with Ghosts. I'm going to read either one of these. Let's see. No, I'm going to read Reasoning with Ghosts. Reasoning with Ghosts. This poem is about wanting to reconnect with someone who is not going to reconnect with me. I am so ready to just love this person like no time has passed at all, but it's not reciprocated, so not going to happen. But I'm trying to reason with a ghost anyway. You, like so many, are a ghost in my heart. In my waking life, you are dreams I can't stop dreaming, wants I can't stop wanting, but neither can fulfill without you. To forget you is work, constant work I must pretend I'm not doing. Jackhammers drilling all day just down the way from where I must do all my other work. I've had no choice but to grow accustomed to this incessant, unsettling rumbling. I do my best to forget the crumbling desires there that you'll care. Call, text, write me, invite me anywhere. My love bursts to life in an instant and never dies. It was not an exaggeration when I told you that before. So though you may be as dead to me, my love for you is as alive as the day it was born. Such is the nature of truth and all things eternal. And you who haunt a human heart, unreachable, unable to grasp how welcome you are to come back to life, today or tomorrow. I think that poem really says a lot. Is really wanting someone back and be back in my life. There's a place for you. You could be alive again. Why do you want to be a ghost? You could be living in love. It's a ghost. Okie dokie. Let's see. Then I have a poem, Longing. I define myself as brutal tenderness. So Rollo May gives us this nice idea of tenderness, and we're filling the gap between our isolated selves. But there is a feeling of that is extreme, and we can't bear it. And just brutal, but I'm going to skip that poem because I know we're coming to the end. It's a great poem, though. You could ask me for it. I'm going to skip this. Aesthetics, the love of beauty. Just look at this image. Look at this image I found of this. Why does this make me feel something that feels like love? To see that this woman is doing a flip in her dress and she looks just like the calla lily. There's this love of form. Love of not just visual beauty, but so much visual beauty because we are such highly visual creatures. We're skipping this. Sorry. Zest is the secret of all beauty. There is no beauty that is attractive without it, because as we think about the love we have for forms and aesthetics, enthusiasm is really at the heart of it. It gives us this feeling that makes us come to life. As the Christian Dior quote says, it's zest. And it's really important to me that I share this because it's one of my favorite words. My husband can attest that we talk a lot about like the need for enthusiasm and growing our enthusiasm, because enthusiasm is a Greek word at its root, and it comes from the en and theos, en meaning inside and theos meaning God. So the actual literal definition of enthusiasm is to have a God within, to feel full of God. When we show enthusiasm, we're showing the proper appreciation for the wonderful world in which we live. Oh, this is one of my favorite poems. I'm going to read it, and then I'm going to read, I guess, the last one. This one is called Desire Everything. And for everyone who knows me, you know that I am a effervescent person. And here we go. It is my enthusiasm and love for life. Desire everything. I want lessons in everything. Teach me everything. Tell me, show me. I want the Renaissance in my fingers. Give me language. Give me knowledge. Give me 10,000 hours for every ology. I want to be every ologist. Crack talent out of self-doubt and laziness, and tell me what happened in Lithuania in 1736. I want to know what Marx would have thought about it, and I want to articulate my love until Shakespeare sounds like the third grade, and I will love you with a song written with the sensuality of Walt Whitman on a sitar and another on jazz guitar. I want to spin them together, knit the turntables a dust cover, with wool I shear myself, from a flock I tend myself, and spin to yarn on a spindle I whittle from a tree hacked down by my own strength, and systematically repurpose branch for branch, like the Sioux might avenge the life of a buffalo undone. Bring me to that prairie, lead me through the woods, lay with me in a grassy field until we have no breath left, whatever the reason. Talk to me. I need to know when to pull up my lunch by looking at the sun, which is exactly 27 million degrees at its core, but only 10 million degrees on its surface, which is exactly how I feel. Okay. Oh, I have a chat window open. Okay, love of place. Now I'm just going to go through some other forms of love quickly. Love of place. This is a collage that I made. It's my favorite collage that I've ever made. It is a sanctuary. It is my imaginary sanctuary that is full of books and a cat and more books and flowers, and it's sunny, and there's books, and there's lots of cozy places to sit, and there's so many books. This is a place poem that I wrote for my place that I loved, love of nature. I'm going to skip it. Gratitude, really important to cultivating love. Very cool poem about smoke. Don't have time for it. Empowerment. Empowerment is an important part of how we love the people that we love. We should be empowering the people we love to be the best form of themselves that they can possibly be. How can we be the wind beneath the wings of the people that we love? How can we be the wind in the sails of others? If you're not doing that, how are you showing your love? So I'm going to, this is an empowerment poem I wrote for myself called April Flight. I'm going to skip it. I'm going to go, well, actually, let me see the time. No, I'm just going to go to the last poem. The last poem is a friendship poem, an empowerment poem for my friend Alison. It's called Tea Party Forever. Two small girls climb the fence that separates their backyards. First, the taller one runs around the block and through the gate. Here, let me help you. Okay. A little sneaker in a little hand. The sound of chain link rattling like ice cubes in lemonade. Then over to the cherry tree to jump and reach, to suck its sweets, to tumble into the grass and scrape their knees. To name the shapes of the clouds, rabbit, fish, Swiss cheese. Push me higher on the swing and then I'll push you back. You'll swing so high, you'll kick the sky, and all the cherries will fall into our laps. Loose in the lawn, the swing posts rise with fluttering braids. Rhythmic wallops cause the earth to quake. All the cherries fall to the ground at the very same moment you break through the clouds. Arms outstretched grab great gobs of that frosting. Now let's play house, you say, coming down. I'm going to cook a cherry cake. I'm going to make a pie, say I. And back in your dollhouse, we bake enough pastries for a lifetime of tea parties. I need to open up the, I want to see your face, Alison. It's like I need to find your face.
Right here. I love that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We are
we're at time.
Out from the end, and I'm wondering if you could, if that was the final one, maybe you can put us back in gallery view so we can interact with you and we can all see each other.
Yes, I have actually just the briefest of poems for the end. It's called The Ends of Love.
Perfect.
Love is an end. Oh, sorry. The ends of love. Love as an end is worth all your power of will. Love's also a means to ends greater still. And I will stop my screen share. And that is all that I have prepared for you today, which is perfect on time. If anyone wants to chat with me or share anything that you think, I'm here. I would love to talk to you. And if not, I'm respecting our allotted time slot and you are all free to go.
Well, before you go, I want to take a moment to thank you so much for spending an hour with us today, and thank you to everyone who came to the reading. And I also was wondering if you would please put your email address in the chat box for everyone one more time so that we can contact you for that wonderful piece of artwork. If you could do that. And also, I put your website in the chat at the beginning of the reading, but maybe again now, so people can go and see more of your creative things that you've done on your website. And if anyone has questions or comments, please go ahead and put your hand up, or either your reaction hand or your actual hand, and I can call on you. Also, if you want to write a response in the chat, that's
what's
totally
up on
great.
Facebook. Hi, people on Facebook. I'm just reading through the chat there. We're closing the poetry reading. I'm grateful to all of you. Okay, I'm waiting for Dave. I already have your mailing address, so you're good.
I lost the screen. Damn it.
That's okay. We can still see you, Dave. We're good.
You see me? Okay. Well, so many of these these poems really, I would really like to have a copy of, or copies of some of those poems anyway.
I have a chapbook that is for sale.
Is that some I feel like they could be useful in my therapy,
That's awesome.
in our couples therapy or something like that. You know, I don't know how my wife would feel, but I don't see why she would object. I think she could probably identify a lot of them.
That is, I'm like gonna cry. I'm gonna burst into tears right now. That's like the most beautiful compliment I could receive.
That's one thing. And then what else was I going to say? I don't remember that. That's the main thing I wanted to say.
Thank you.
Well, there we go.
Matt, please go ahead and unmute yourself.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Hello, Cassandra. How are you today? And it's great to see you again. Is there any way to get a copy of the various breakdowns of the word love? I found that fascinating and enlightening and intriguing and very relatable.
I am happy to share with you the slideshow. I'll just like download it as a PDF and you can just have that.
Fabulous.
Super. If anybody wants it, just tell me you want it. I'm happy to share.
Thank you so much. And thank you for being you.
Thank you so much. I know that you rearranged your schedule to be here.
I did. I canceled an appointment. You owe me $455.98. But since we're friends, we'll make it $500 even.
All right. How about I write you a poem worth 1,000 and then.
You're on.
Okay.
You're on.
Super.
And tell Rainer, I'm sure he can hear me, that he's one lucky man.
He is one lucky man.
Everyone, I wanted, before we ran out of time, everybody.
I'm going to end the Facebook Live. If you've come to see any portion of this on Facebook Live today, please do give me your snail mail address and I will send you a physical piece of art as a thank you for your attendance.